Okay, so we are taking today science only, not maths. Continuing life process. Okay, so yesterday we have done till respiration part. Respiration we have finished. Finished or not? Here, only this part. Oxygen and carbon dioxide movement I've explained you. So oxygen is transported in blood through
Hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin.
with the help of hemoglobin. Oxygen transported with the help of hemoglobin in the form of oxyhemoglobin. And carbon dioxide is transported by dissolving in liquid water, that is plasma. So carbon dioxide is this one transported from cell to lungs with the help of, when it dissolves in plasma along with blood plasma, it is transported to lungs, move towards the lungs, and where again that is taken out through the air. Exhale, when we exhale it comes out. Then how are the lungs designed to maximize this exchange rate of exchange of gases? This is 3-mark question. How are lungs designed? First one.
They have large surface area.
Where they have large surface area? They have
The
very small.
alveoli.
So you're right. Tell that about the alveoli. So every bronchi.
Can we leave the meeting?
Yeah, you can leave. Every bronchi has millions of balloon-like structures called alveoli at their ends. These alveoli are which increases surface area for exchange of gases. Someone's mic is on. Can you mute it, please? Noise is coming from backside. Alveoli are
Moist
actually
and
this is
thick.
alveoli are moist and one cell thick, which helps them to expand, which helps them to expand easily. And the third one, they are richly supplied with blood capillaries. They are richly supplied with blood capillaries. So these are the 3 main points you have to explain for this question, and this question is always asked for 3 marks. What is residual volume? What do you mean by residual volume? Yes, Janvi? What do you mean by residual volume?
Ma'am?
Ma'am, there is always a little amount of gas, oxygen left in the lungs even after severest effort of breathing.
Yes, which continues the exchange process. It won't happen, that is when we breathe out, the exchange of these gases stops. It won't. So continuous supply, and it will give more time for the gaseous exchange. When we exhaust, or this one, exhale all the, with more force also, if we exhale, it won't happen. That is, the all the air comes out of the alveoli through the lungs. It won't happen. Some amount of air will be still present after pressurized or forcefully exhaling the air. So this will continue, the exchange of gases will provide sufficient time for exchange of gases. So that volume of the air or a gas present in the lungs is called residual volume, which helps for continuous exchange of gases, or which provides a sufficient time for continuous exchange of gases. So it won't, the exchange of gases won't stop anytime. Clear? That is residual volume. When we exhale very forcefully, then also trachea won't collapse. Reason?
Ma'am, due to the presence of rings of cartilage.
Yes, trachea has the rings of cartilage over them. So due to presence of cartilage, cartilage is the bony structure, the soft bone-like structure. So it won't allow the collapsing of the passage of the air. Air passage will not get collapsed. Over the trachea, there is one aperture which prevents the movement of food into the food pipe, that is into trachea. What is that part?
Epiglottis.
Epiglottis. Glottis is the area, that space is called glottis, and inside that leaf-like aperture present over the trachea is called epiglottis. Okay. Then these are the things about the lungs. Anything in this one? Exchange of oxygen, carbon dioxide, I will explained already. Yeah, that's it in respiratory system. First is the 1 3-mark short question on the respiration, breakdown of glucose process, and the second one is structure of lung, structure of respiratory system. Diagram of respiratory system is important. Okay, without breathe, this one, sorry, without that bones, you have to draw the diagram. No need to draw that vertebral column, or that's this one, that rings and all those. Yeah, chest cavity you are not supposed to show. Okay, fine about the lungs. Then it is further transportation. Transportation part. Transportation system consists of, if the question is asked transportation, explain transportation system or explain the components of transportation system, what you will explain? What you will explain?
Blood, heart, and the artery, veins, and capillaries.
That is blood vessels.
Yeah.
Out of 3 marks, you will get 1.5. 2 marks you will get.
Ma'am, lens.
Yes, transportation system. Here again and again I'm telling you, when they are asking about the transportation system, there are 2 transportation systems are present in our body. One is circulatory and the second one is lymphatic. There are 2 transportation systems are present in our body. So both of them you have to explain. In circulatory system, there is a heart, blood, and blood vessels. Blood vessels consist of artery, veins, and capillaries. And lymphatic system consists of, in that you have to explain about the lymph and lymph vessels. Okay, so you have to explain everything in case of transportation system. And if another question they have asked in the same year board paper, they have asked this question. When they have asked transportation system, explain the components of transportation system, that question was for 3 marks. And in the second paper, when second zone paper, the same year, they have asked, explain the components of circulatory system. So you should not get confused now. Transportation system, when it is 3 marks, that means it is expected from you to explain about circulatory and lymphatic system. And when the circulatory system only they have asked, then you can explain only heart, blood and blood vessels. And that too, you are not supposed to explain full 2 to 3 pages. You are only telling about what is it, what is its main function. Clear? Main function you are explaining. You are not explaining in detail what exactly it is doing. Okay, when the question is asked, explain the structure and functioning of heart, then you're explaining everything. Okay, so if you circulatory system itself asked, so only write down heart. Heart is a pumping organ in our body. So it pumps, applies pressure on the blood, so due to which blood will circulate easily throughout the body. And it is taken towards the heart back. So which helps in transportation of substances throughout the body. Only in general you are explaining, you are not explaining much in detail. Don't make it 2 to 3 page answer, or 1 full page is also not needed. The second one is blood. Blood is a liquid medium which flows through the blood vessels. Many substances to be transported are mixed with blood, and blood helps them to transport from one part of the body to other part of the body. That's it. You're not explaining what blood consists of, what is the function of each part. That's not needed. So main functions you are explaining in that. Then blood vessels. Blood vessels are the thick vessels, that means the thick pipe-like structures which carry blood towards or away from the heart, as well as the part through which the capillaries helps in exchange of substances near every cells. Arteries, and then you can explain arteries carries blood away from the heart towards the body cells. Veins carries blood from body cells to heart, and the capillaries through which the exchange of substances takes place. So this is only you are explaining. Don't make 2 page answer again and again, I'm telling you, because you will waste time in that, because that question is asked only for 2 marks. You're not supposed to explain everything. So always think the question answer, how this answer marks for that particular answer, and according to that your answer should be. You are not to be very precise, and you are not to be very much elaborated. You according to marks you have to write the answers. Specific answers are needed. Okay, otherwise actually you will lose or waste time. That is only going to happen. So we will work on that, exactly what has to be written. After October onwards, I will exactly explain you what has to be, how to write, what to write. Right now, the concept clearing part is going on for you people. Okay, circulatory system consists of heart. Heart is a pumping organ which helps in movement of the blood along with the soluble substances to and fro of the body cells. From lungs and the body cells, transportation is possible due to heart. Blood is a liquid medium, fluid medium, which helps in transportation of substances to and from body cells. Blood vessels, the pipe-like structures which carry the blood. It takes or it transports blood along with other substances to or from body cells from body cells to heart and heart to lungs, or from lungs to heart and heart to cells. There are 3 types of blood vessels: arteries, veins and capillaries. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, veins carry blood towards the heart, and capillaries through which the exchange of gases, the junction between arteries and where the exchange of gases takes place. The exchange of substances takes place, not only gas. It's clear? And lymphatic system, lymph is the intercellular fluid. It is called as intercellular fluid or extracellular fluid, which flows in unidirectional manner. So it takes all these intercellular fluid and pour it back or drains it back to the veins. Again, blood in the veins again. And it also builds up the immunity system of the body. And it is traveled through vessels. It can pass through or transported through vessels. Okay, so write on this flow chart and write the difference between arteries and veins first. Arteries and veins, at least 4 to 5 points you should know. Arteries, first it carries blood away from heart. Second one carries blood towards heart. Second, wide lumen, narrow lumen. Do not have walls. Have walls. Fourth point. The fourth one you can write.
Carries oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery.
That's already we have written in this point.
Blood flows under pressure. High
Yes.
pressure in artery.
Blood flows under high pressure. Blood flows under low pressure. Fifth one, deep-seated. Superficial. And then lastly, make that is oxygenated blood. Carries oxygenated blood. except pulmonary. Carries deoxygenated blood except pulmonary vein. Okay, so these are the main differences between artery and vein. This is also a 3-mark question, 3 points minimum. You have to, as in a board, they will ask 3 marks, but in school, they consider it as 6 marks, 6 points. Superficial and deep-seated means arteries are always present inside, much inside the skin. They are not present near the skin. And the veins are near the surface. So you can see your veins here, all these places you can see directly. Here you can see those veins, you can easily see. On your near toe region, you can see. In your feet region, you can see the veins easily. The green color vessels are moving. So those veins you can see because they are near to the skin. But the arteries are not near to the skin. So they are much inside. So that is deeply they are present. They're present at much deeper inside the skin. So somewhere it is 1 or 2 places, it is only the near the surface where we can check the blood pressure.
Mom,
Yes.
Mom, can we also write that they're thick and elastic, that point?
Yeah, thick and elastic, right? Arteries and thick walled, veins have thin walled, and you have a class at 11 o'clock.
Sorry. Mom, I actually came in at 10.
You can stay, no issue. You can stay, that's no problem.
Thank you, Mom.
Okay, so this is about arteries and veins. Difference. What are capillaries? What are capillaries? Or what are the characteristics of capillaries?
They are one cell thick.
They are one cell thick, very good. They are the junction between the arteries and veins. Arteries finally end up into the capillaries and capillaries join together to form veins. And through the capillaries, they have the pores through which exchange of gases are easily taken place with the help of diffusion or osmosis takes place through which the substances are exchanged through capillaries. Exchange of substances are not possible through arteries or veins. Exchange is only possible through capillaries. So near every organ, near every cell, there are capillaries are present. Arteries only take the blood, carry the blood towards the cell, and the veins directly carry that blood towards the heart. But there is nowhere arteries or veins, the blood exchange takes, the substances get exchanged. For the exchange of substances, there should be a capillary. Okay.
Ma'am, what is lumen?
Lumen is the girth of, we can consider as a girth of a tree. That is, we can consider it as a, what do you call, diameter of that vessel. Diameter of the vessel.
Okay, ma'am.
They are wider diameter, that is wider lumen, that is hole is bigger in size. The vessel size, the pipe-like size of that, the diameter of that pipe is bigger in arteries, wider in arteries, and they are narrow in veins. And the walls of arteries are thick and elastic, veins are thin and elastic. So that is thickness and thinness is only explained in terms of lumen, narrow and wide lumen.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, then heart, functioning of heart. Heart has 4 chambers. I'm only drawing flow diagram. I can't draw diagram. Okay, to explain you, I'm explaining this. So here first it is divided into 2 main parts. Right and left halves has been divided with the help of the wall called as septum. Septum divides the 2 halves of the heart, this is actually, when you consider this is your RHS. In actual cases, we consider this is RHS. In a equation part, you can remember RHS this side. Your right hand side is RHS. But for heart, it is opposite. So this is left hand side. And this is right hand side. Right half is this part. And this is left half. Am I right? Yeah. Right now. Then both the halves are again divided into two parts called as
Atrium and ventricle.
atrium and ventricles. So there are both of them. The upper chamber is called as atrium and the lower chamber is called as auricle or atrium. And the lower part is called as
Ventricle.
ventricles. Auricle or atrium. The upper part so this way it is divided with the help of valves. These are valves are present. Tricuspid and bicuspid valves are present. So here is a valve. So these are the valves are present. So through which the blood moves, but there are valves are present. So which will not allow completely every time the blood is not moving down immediately. Before applying pressure, it will not come down. So this is left atrium and this is left ventricle. This is right atrium or auricle and this is right ventricle. So entry of the blood. In both the sides, blood enters. So here, the upper part and the lower part, the blood enters. So this entry is through, these are called as vena cava. The deoxygenated blood, this is the part of deoxygenated blood. And this part is oxygenated blood. So the blood enters the heart, the right auricles through vena cava. There are two vena cava, superior and inferior. Superior vena cava, upper part. So the blood enters from the upper part of the body. Upper part of the heart, through the brain. From that part, the blood enters through superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. This is also vena cava. So the blood enters, this is inferior vena cava, which carries a blood from the lower part of the body. So this here, that from the lower part of the body, the blood enters the heart, and this is from the upper part of the body, blood enters the heart and the right atrium. And at the same time, the blood enters into left atrium with the help of, so this is the pulmonary, this is pulmonary vein, pulmonary vein. With the help of pulmonary vein. So these are also veins and these are also veins. So here these veins carries deoxygenated blood from the different parts of the body and enter into the right atrium. And in the left atrium, the pulmonary vein from lungs. This is a lungs. Through that, these pulmonary veins take the blood and pour it into left atrium. Now when the blood, both the time, at the same time, the blood atrium receives blood by relaxation process. So both the atrium relax, the blood is poured into right and left atrium. So this is from different part of the body and here it is from lungs only. The blood enters. So now after that, when blood enters, at that time they contract. After that they contract. So when the atrium, both the auricles atrium contracts, they apply pressure on these walls. Then the blood enters the ventricles. So that here deoxygenated blood, here oxygenated blood enters the ventricles. So ventricles, when these, so these are relaxed. When atrium contract, these ventricles relax. So at the time of receiving blood, the parts are relaxing. When they have to give out the blood, that time they are contracting because they have to press them up. So to press the blood out, they have to contract. So first atrium relax, so they receive blood. Then after that they contract. Immediately after that they contract. When they contract, the blood get poured into ventricles. Now after, when ventricles are relaxed to receive the blood, when they receive the blood, after that they start contracting. So they contract. When the ventricles contract, the blood is flown out. So here it will move to aorta. The blood from left ventricle move to aorta, that is, this is oxygenated blood, so has to be supplied to each and every cell. So it will pumped into aorta, funnel shaped structure, bigger thick structure, which receives the blood, and then it will transport further to arteries. Arteries get converted into arterioles, and with the help of arterioles it is transported to each and every cell of the body. And from here, right ventricle, there is a, this is deoxygenated blood. So with the help of pulmonary artery, it will get transported to lungs. So here, this is the pulmonary artery. So when ventricles are contracting, they are pouring blood into the aorta. So left ventricle, when contract, it will forces blood to the aorta so that it will get transport to each and every cell. So at that time, the pressure in the artery is too high. So that pressure is called a systolic pressure. So just like take a balloon, fill it with water and squeeze it. What will happen? Mouth is open. Mouth is open. So at that time, fill a balloon with water and press the balloon. What will happen? Water will burst out. It will come out with very high pressure. So that is only happening in a systolic pressure. So in systolic pressure, these blood from the ventricles, when contract, that means we press them. So it will pour the blood into aorta. So at that time, pressure in the artery blood is very high. So that pressure is called a systolic pressure. And in adult human, this pressure is 120 mm of Hg. And when they are receiving blood, so atrium are contracting, at that time ventricles are relaxed. So when they are relaxed, they are receiving blood. So they won't press them away. So they are not giving it away. They are receiving first blood. In the first part, they are receiving the blood, and in the next part, they are sending the blood. So when they receive, there is no blood is sent to the aorta and then artery. So therefore, the pressure in the artery blood is very less. That is called as diastolic pressure. And that is in normal human adult, it is 80 mm of Hg. That is diastolic blood. So if you now start with here, we will start with lungs. Oxygenated blood. With the help of pulmonary vein. Here I will write pulmonary vein. It is poured, pulmonary vein, pour this oxygenated blood into left atrium. Now from left atrium, when it relaxes, so left atrium relaxes. At that time, pulmonary vein pours the blood into left atrium. Then after that, atrium contracts. So the blood will enter to left ventricle. At that time, left ventricles are relaxing. So they, after that, left ventricle contract. So they pour blood into aorta, and aorta transfer the blood to cell. Artery, arteriole, aorta, then artery, transfer the blood to the cell. From the cell, blood is poured into veins. Now this is oxygenated. Now cell to veins, it is deoxygenated. Through veins, it is transferred to right atrium when these are relaxed. Then right atrium contract. So right atrium pour into right ventricle. That time they are relaxed. When right ventricle contract, that time they pour blood into pulmonary artery, and pulmonary artery finally pour the blood into lungs. Means take the blood to the lungs where the exchange of gases takes place. So this is deoxygenated blood. Is taken to the lungs, exchange takes place. Now that becomes oxygenated blood. It will transfer to the pulmonary vein, then left atrium, then left atrium. When it is relaxed, it will pour into the left ventricle. Left ventricle contracts. They pass the blood to the aorta. Aorta pass the blood to the artery. Artery pass to the blood to the arterioles. Arterioles back to the capillaries. Then capillaries pass the substances to gas to cell. Then cell accept oxygen and transfer carbon dioxide, so that blood will become deoxygenated. So it will transfer to the veins to right atrium it is poured. Vein gets converted into vena cava. Vein further combines to form vena cava. Vena cava transfer the blood to right atrium. Right atrium, when they are relaxed, that time they pour it. When they contract, they pass the blood to the right ventricle. When they are relaxed, so when right ventricles, after that they contracts, they pour the blood into the pulmonary artery, and then from pulmonary artery, it will take into the lungs again. So this is one cardiac cycle. Are you able to understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And in this one, both systemic and pulmonary is there. So here, lungs to heart. This is left atrium. So this is the blood moves from lungs to heart. And here there is a heart part. This is the right ventricle. Heart part is there, the lungs. So this movement is a systemic movement. Sorry, pulmonary movement. This is pulmonary system. And this side, from the heart to the different cells of the body. So this circulation is systemic circulation. So pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation, that means with the help of pulmonary arteries, whatever the movement takes place. Double circulation when it is explained. Lungs, heart, and cell. So lungs to heart, the blood enters, oxygenated blood. Blood enters through pulmonary vein. And heart to lungs, deoxygenated blood moves with the help of pulmonary artery. So this is pulmonary circulation. And then heart to cell with the help of artery. And cell to heart, the movement is with the help of vein. This is called systemic circulation. Clear? So this diagram you have to explain for double circulation. And this flowchart is for, this flowchart is the actually explains the function of heart. Is that clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Remember this.
Yes, ma'am.
Always remember by this flowchart or this diagram. With this diagram, if you remember, you can easily do that. Okay. Done.
Yes, ma'am.
Then double circulation, what do you mean by double circulation? What do you mean by double circulation?
When blood enters the heart twice in a circulation.
In this is a
In one cardiac
question.
cycle,
In
In
one
one-
cardiac cycle, when blood enters heart twice in one cardiac cycle, this phenomena is called double circulation. Double means two times circulation. The heart is circulating blood two times. It is taking blood first and then it is sending it again. So receiving the blood two times from the lungs as well as from the different parts of the cell, and again sends also two times, once towards the cell and once towards the lungs. So two times this process is happening. So therefore it is called as double circulation. Importance and when the question is asked to explain double circulation, you have to explain this diagram. Pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation, you have to explain. That's it. Don't explain this all. Inside heart, what is happening, don't explain in that one. Don't waste your time in writing that part. You're only explaining this diagram, this flow chart, you are explaining, that's it. And this one, what is the importance of double circulation, or what is the importance of four-chambered heart in higher order organisms?
it prevents the mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood.
Yes, 1 point.
Ma'am, warm-blooded organisms use their energy to maintain their body temperature. So a four-chambered heart is very essential.
So that is, you have to write in proper order. So first, due to four-chambered heart, it helps in separation of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. This helps in efficient supply of oxygen. Due to efficient supply of oxygen, the rate of respiration increases. And this helps in producing more energy. And this energy is required for maintaining body temperature. In warm-blooded animals. That is mammals and aves. So you have to explain all of them. If you write only that is double circulation importance to maintain the body temperature, you will not get any marks. Don't lose marks. You have to explain fully. The importance of four-chambered heart, that is due to four-chambered heart, there is a separation of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, due to which the oxygen is efficient supply of oxygen takes place. Due to efficient supply of oxygen is necessary for increased rate of respiration. Increased rate of respiration is needed for producing more energy, and the energy needed by us or mammals and aves for maintaining their body temperature. So everything step by step you have to explain. Then only you will get 2 marks. Otherwise you will not get marks. And that time don't keep trying that is I have written but the teacher have not given marks.
Can you just repeat that?
I have written and I have taken revision for you also. Is it clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Systolic and diastolic pressure is clear. Systolic pressure takes place when? Systolic pressure is
Contraction of
created.
ventricles.
Yes, contraction of ventricles creates systolic pressure. And diastolic pressure?
Relaxation of ventricles.
Yes, relaxation of ventricles. So systolic pressure is created due to contraction of ventricles. At that time, ventricle is supplying blood, pressuring blood or pouring blood into artery. So due to which pressure is increased and which is 120 mm of Hg. And diastolic, when there is a relaxation of ventricles and which is commonly 80 mm of Hg. If anytime any person has a more than 120 mm of Hg, pressure is maintained continuously, then that is a problem. That disease is called as
Hypertension.
hypertension, high blood pressure or hypertension. Okay. So this is all about circulation, and in that you have to remember what are the functions of heart. If the question is asked, explain 4 functions of heart. What you will explain? What are the 4 functions of heart? No idea. You know only one, pumping of blood, but you have to write 4 functions. Don't so confused. You have to write only from where it receives and from where it sends. You have to explain that 4 points. This means it receives the blood from deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body. Then it is transferred to the lungs. Then second point, it transfers the blood to the lungs. Then again the third point, it receives the blood from the lungs or oxygenated blood from the lungs, and then again it transports to each and every cell. So here are the 4 points you are explaining. Is that clear?
Yeah, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
4 points you are explaining, that is, it receives the deoxygenated blood from the different parts of the body. And then second point, it sends that deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Then third point, it receives the oxygenated blood from lungs. And fourth point, it transfers the oxygenated blood to each and every part of the body, each and every cell of the body. That's it, the 4 functions you have to explain. Okay, and the functions of blood. What are the function of blood?
Carrying oxygen.
Carry oxygen with the help of hemoglobin present in RBC. Second,
It carries deoxygenated blood from the cells to the heart.
okay, it carries deoxygenated blood. Plasma carries deoxygenated blood or helps in transportation of carbon dioxide. Third one is the digested food is transported from from intestine to different parts of the body. Fourth point, it carries the nitrogenous waste from liver to kidney. It carries, next point, it carries hormones and enzymes. It maintains the pH of the fluid of our body.
Ma'am, it maintains the body temperature.
It maintains the body temperature. Is it right? No, it is not helping in maintaining the body temperature. Yeah, it can cool down the body. Yes, right. It can be due to presence of the fluid pressure. It can maintain the body temperature. Okay, so these are all points, the functions of blood. Even platelets helps in clotting of the blood. WBCs helps in fighting with the foreign particles, that is germs, microorganisms, and keeps us healthy. So every part is function, RBC, WBC, platelets, and plasma. All 4 functions you can explain. Platelets helps in clotting of the blood. Whenever there is a leakage in any of the vessels of the body, blood vessel, then it is sealed by a leak. That leakage is sealed by cells. Those are platelets. The platelet cells helps in sealing the leakage in any vessel. That is called clotting of the blood. Clotting of the blood is done by platelets. Okay. Remember, the ventricles have more thicker than auricles, because they have to pump the blood outside the body, outside the heart, sorry. So they have thick walls as compared to atrium, and further they are more elastic and they are thicker walls. Okay, that's it. Walls are present to prevent backflow of blood. So that is all about the circulation system. Lymphatic system, lymph is a extracellular fluid, consists of a lymph, which have that extracellular fluid which has more amount of fat and lesser amount of protein, and also it carries the cells called as lymphocytes, helps in building immune system. The part of the WBCs, lymphocytes are parts of WBCs, types of WBCs, which helps to fight with infections, germs, and they drain out the extracellular fluid in black to the blood, and it also carries the digested fat from intestine to blood again and fights with the germs. That is another function. So lymph is drained out with the help of lymph vessels. The lymph is carried by lymph vessels, and they open up into veins. So in the veins they are drained again. The lymph is colorless fluid due to lack of RBCs. It is exactly similar to that of blood, but there are few differences. That is, one is its color. Lymph is colorless due to absence of RBCs, because hemoglobin is not present in that. And the second one, it carries less protein. So lymph carries less protein as compared to blood. Blood is bidirectional. Blood moves in two directions, but the lymph moves in only one direction. That is from cell to blood. That's it. Okay. So these are the functions of lymphatic system. Then further, water and minerals are transported in plants. Transportation in plants. Transportation in plants, the transportation needed is one thing, that is water and minerals, and the second one is food. So water and minerals are transported with the help of specialized vascular bundles called as xylem. Xylem carries water and minerals from soil with the help of roots, through roots to leaves. One-way direction, one-way movement is present. Xylem carries water and minerals in one direction. So I will explain the xylem part and then we will stop. So if it is a tree, it has a roots. So here the water and minerals from this enter the root hair. Through the root hair, it will enter the root. Through the root, it is transported to xylem of the stem xylem. And then through the stem xylem, it is transported upward to the leaves. Leaves are there, it will transport it to the leaves. Okay, so this is the movement of water and minerals. This happens here near the root hair. How the transportation takes place, you should know. That is, roots outside, water concentration is more. So what the roots will do, root hair will actively take up ions, and the difference in ionic difference is created between the soil water and inside the roots. There is the ions they exchange, so they take up ions, due to which the difference in ionic difference is created. So to eliminate that difference, water will move inside the roots. Through the root, with the help of diffusion process, that is osmotic pressure, due to osmotic pressure from the root hair, it will start moving one by one, one by one, one by one cell. Now when it reaches this stem xylem, it will start moving one by one, one by one, one by one cell. Now when it reaches this stem xylem, it will start moving one by one, one by one, one by one cell. Now when it reaches this stem xylem, it will start moving one by one, one by one, one by one cell. Now when it reaches this stem xylem, bottom of the xylem. Now it has to go upward. So there is a capillary action will takes place. In a smaller plants, the simple capillary action takes place. That is movement of water upward direction, but through a very short distance. But for the large trees, longer trees, the movement upward is due to the transpiration, suction, pull. Suction pull is created with the help of transpiration. So transpiration is giving out excess water. Evaporation of excess water takes place through the leaves, stomata of the leaves, due to which the amount of water in upward direction in the leaves is lesser, and in the lower the pressure of the water is more. So water will move upward towards the leaves to eliminate this difference. This is we call as ascent of sap. This way, the water and minerals moves from soil to roots, roots to xylem, and xylem to leaves. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now you can leave and take the test. It will start after 5 minutes. 11:15 I have given timing. So you can start at 11:15. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
And
you,
no
ma'am.
need to log in here. You can directly take the test.
Okay,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Tomorrow we'll continue the next part. And then acid base also you have that is also I will continue.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.